Hey guys, and welcome back. In the last part, we have created our database table through our models.py file. We have also created our form through forms.py file. In this part, we're going to create our views and our URLs. All right, let's go ahead and start by our views. The first thing that I want to do in my views.py file is that I want to import the product form and the product class from both the form file, form.py file, and the models.py file. So I'm going to say here from the current directory forms, I want to import the product form, and also from the current directory models, I want to import the product class. All right, now I need different views. This application is applying what we call the CRUD router. So that's going to be a CRUD router application. CRUD, C-R-U-D. CRUD stands for create, treat, update, and delete. So you're going to create a product, you're going to read a product or view a product, you can update your product, and you can delete your product. This is the story of any other application that you can use. You can, for example, in any of your social media websites, you can create posts, for example, you can read other people's posts, you can update your post, and you can delete your post. So essentially, we will need a create view, read view, right? We will need update view, and we will need also a delete view. Right? These are the components of our application. And also I will need a home view. That's going to be only for the home page. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by the home page. That's the simplest one. So I'm going to create a function. I'm going to call it home_view. And that's taking the request, of course. And we're going to render the request and the template's name. Now I want to create here in my applications folder, I will create a folder. I'm going to call it templates. And inside that templates folder, I will create inv app. Okay. Inside inv app, I'm going to create 5 different HTML pages. The first one is home.html. The second one is going to be for the general layout, and I'm going to explain that later. Also, I will need product form, so that's very important. Also, I will need a product confirm delete. So whenever you're going to delete your product, you will have a page, you will be redirected to that product confirm delete. It's going to tell you, are you sure you want to delete this item or not? So I'm going to call this one product_confirm_delete. That's a long name, I know, but it makes sense for me. By the way, you're free to change all of the names as you want. Just create the names that make sense for you. Also, the last one, that's going to be the product list, just to view all of the items. So these are essentially the 4 HTML pages that we will create together. All right, so let me just close them all and let's get back to our views.py. So for the home view, I will need to go to the inv app. Inside that folder, we have our home.html file. All right, and that's essentially my home view function. This is going to render the home.html template. Now let's go ahead and tackle the next one. The next view is of course the create view function. This function simply is going to add the product. So I'm going to just call it product_create view. And here I want to instantiate an empty product form, right? So we have our product form that we have imported from the forms file. So I'm going to use that here. And that's going to be a form variable. That's the form object instantiated from that product form class. Next, I want to check out if the request method is post, right? So we have done that before together. If request.method is equal to post, I want to bind the form data from the request. So the form here is equal to the product form, taking in the argument the request dot the post method. Now, once we have this form ready, we want to check out if the form data is valid or not. So I'm going to check out if form dot is underscore valid. In this case, I want to save the new product to the database. So form.save. And then we're going to redirect the user to the product list view. For that, I will need to import the redirect method. So let's get back. And here I will return redirect the product list. And finally here, I'm going to render with the request in the env app / the product underscore form dot html. Right? And let's not forget the context, of course. So the context, that's our dictionary. So that's going to be the form, which is equal to the form. And this return statement simply says that if the request method is not equal to post, we will redirect the user to go to the product form template with the form. All right, and this is simply our create view function. The next function that we want to create is the read view function. Now, the read view is very simple. We're going to query all of the products from the database and render the product list HTML template with the products. So to do that, I'm going to create this product underscore list underscore view function. That's taking, of course, the request as usual. And I want a variable called products. This products is going to take the product class, and we're going to say .objects.all, right? We are selecting all of the products in the database table, and we're going to render inside the folder env app / product underscore lists .html, right? And of course the context here is the products. So the products is set to the products in the database table. Now this is as far as the read view. Now for the update view, that's going to be a little bit longer. So basically what we want is, first of all, we want to get the product by the product ID because we want to update a certain product, right? So we need to target it by its unique identifier, by its ID number. Now to do that, let me create a function, and I'm gonna call it product underscore update underscore view. And that's taking the request, but also it's taking our unique identifier. It's taking the product's ID number. So the product ID as second parameter. And now I want to take the product class and I want to go to the objects, and I want to go to the objects here, and we're going to select. Now I want to take the product class dot all of the objects dot get. Now get is a special method that's going to target the product ID number. So the product underscore ID is set to whatever the product ID that we are looking for. And of course, I'm going to assign that to a variable called product. Now the second variable is going to be the form. That's going to be the form object instantiated from the product form with the product instance. So whatever the product instance here is going to be, that's going to be passed as a parameter in the product form class. And we're going to assign that to a variable called form. So that's the product form class. And we will pass here the parameter. We're going to set the instance to be the product itself. Now, as always, I want to check out if the request method is equal to post. In this case, I want to bind the form data from the request to the existing product instance. So that's going to be a little bit different from what we have done here when we have binded this form data from the request. So we're going to do that a bit different here because we're going to just to take the existing product instance. If that's true, I want to bind the form data from the request to the existing product instance. So I'm going to take the product form, and the product form is taking two different arguments. The first one is the post request, so that's be dot post. And the second argument is the instance which is set to the product itself. So that's going to be exactly like here. We're going to pass that as a second parameter in that product form method. And I'm going to save that again in the form. So I'm actually overriding the form if the request.method is equal to post. And of course, the next thing we need to do is to check if the form data is valid. So if form dot is underscore valid, in this case, I want to save the updated product to the database. So form dot save, exactly the same thing that we have done here, guys, right? But that's a bit different. Even for the form, we have binded here the form data from the request, and here we have binded the form data from the request to the existing product instance. So I've added here a second parameter, which is the product instance, to update our product in our database table. So if the form is valid, we're going to save that updated product, and I want to redirect the user to the product list. So I'm going to redirect the user to the product underscore list. And again, if the request.method is not equal to post, I'm going to render the product form template with the form. So that's basically going to be the same exact line here. All right, guys, so we have created together 4 different views: the update view, the read view, the create view, and of course, the home view. The last view that's remaining is the delete view. Basically what we want, that's going to be very close to update, because we want again to target a certain product by its unique identifier or product ID. We want to get the product by the product ID. We will check if the request method is post, then we're going to delete the product from the database table. Then we're going to redirect the user to the product list view. And finally, we're going to render the product confirm delete page, this one that we haven't created yet. That's going to tell the user, are you sure you want to delete this product or not? Right, so let's go ahead and write that. So I'm going to create a function. I'm going to call it product underscore delete underscore view. That's taking again request and the product ID as second parameter, second input. So I want to get the product by the product ID. So I'm going to access the product class dot objects dot get. So that's going to be the product ID. And that's equal to whatever the product ID that the user is selecting. Next, I want to check out if the request method is post. So if the request, I think this is cemented in your head now, guys. We have repeated this many times. So if the request method is equal to post, I want to delete the product. So simply product.delete. And yet again, we will redirect the user to the products list. And then finally, I want to render this product confirm delete template with the product. So we're going to return render the request as first parameter, of course, and in the app / let's check out product underscore confirm underscore delete. That's the one. Product underscore confirm underscore delete .html, of course. And the context here is set to the product itself, the product in question, the product that we want to delete. And that's it. Basically, guys, we have created all of our views, our home view, our create view, our read, our update, and our delete view. Now, very quickly, let's go ahead and create our urls.py file. So we will have here our dispatcher or our router. From Django.urls, I want to import the path. that's going to import the path function, of course, from the Django URLs model. And of course, the path is very important to route the user to whatever the route that the user should be directed to. So from the current directory, I want to import the views. Then I will have the URL patterns list. In that list, I will have my path. So the first path is going to be on an empty route. I want to go to the views and access the home view. That's going to be our home page. And I'm going to give it a name of home. Let's not forget the comma. Now I will need 4 more paths. One to create the product, one to list the product, one to update, and one to delete. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first one is going to the create route. And for the views, I will need the product underscore create view, right? And I'm going to give it a different name. That's going to be product underscore create. The next route, I need to list all of the products. So list /. And that's going to go to the product list view. And I'm going to change the name, of course. I'm going to give it a name of product list. For updating and deleting the products, this is going to be a little bit tricky. So take a look at that. We want a route called update /. Then I will need the product ID. Inside those brackets here, I need this product ID, but I need to identify that this product ID is going to be an integer, right? And at the end of the route, I need to enter a /. All right, so this is the correct path that's going to appear whenever you want to update a product in your products list. Then I will access different view, of course. So the view here is the product update view, that's the first one. And I'm changing the name to product underscore update. For the delete, that's going to be essentially the same thing. So on delete /, then in those brackets, I need my product underscore ID, and I'm identifying that this is an integer, right? So the product ID should be an integer here. And do not forget the / at the end of the route. And finally, I will need to change the views. That's going to be the product delete view. And I will change the name to also product delete. All right, guys, so these are our paths that will help us to be redirected from one page to the other. On an empty route, we'll go to the home page. Create, that's going to create our product. To list, we're going to list all of the products inside our database table. To update a certain product, we're going to target it by its ID number. And the same exact thing for the delete. If we want to delete a certain product, we will need to target it by its product ID. And in case we want to delete that, we're going to be redirected to a page for the confirmation. It's going simply to ask you if you're sure that you want to delete that product. All right, we are almost there. The last step that we need to take in our backend setup, we need to go to our project, to our URLs file, and set up our path here. So our usual path, of course, on an empty route, so single quotes, I want to include the URLs file, which is in our application. So include urls or inv-app.urls, right? And for that, I will need to import include function as well. Now, one final step that I want to take just as a confirmation step is to make migrations and apply migrations again. So I'm going to do, again, python manage.py make migrations. Okay, no changes detected. That's fine. And I will do migrate. All right, fine. No migrations to apply. This is simply going to tell me if there is anything that I made by error. It's going to detect it. And this is basically it, guys, for the backend. We have set up our server. We have set up our database. Let me actually run the server, python manage.py run server. All right. And of course, we don't have anything because the home.html is empty. Now, just to test, I'm going to type, this is a test. I'm going to save that. I'm going to get back here, refresh, and this is a test. So everything is being rendered properly. So yeah, that's it guys for this part. In the next part, we're going to set up our front-end design. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you shortly in the next part.